numbers out show that more than 771,000 people across the country were homeless on a single night in 2024. It's a number that has gone up every year for a decade, and it is expected to keep growing. The new movie, No Address, is aiming to raise awareness of the homeless epidemic and how it could affect anyone. Billy Baldwin, one of the film's stars, we are proud to say, joining us now. Billy, welcome.
So great to be here, thanks.
So your character, he's a husband, he's a father, he's a savvy businessman who's trying to clear out a homeless encampment for development. I want to show our viewers the clip. I'll talk to you on the other side.
This is it. Check it out. I mean, you have to visualize, okay? But the possibilities are endless. We could pick this up at a commercial real estate auction for pennies on the dollar, a fraction of the cost.
I don't know, Robert. Look at all that trash. No one's going to want to be around that.
I've got that under control, okay? I'm going to have a team go in there. We'll have that cleaned up in no time.
No, I meant the people. How are you going to get rid of them?
You're essentially the villain, the bad guy. I'm curious what you learned just about the homelessness in our country and how these people are being treated.
It starts out that I'm a villain.
Okay, okay, good to know.
You know, that famous line, you know, my karma comes back to haunt me, you know. I learned so much. I've been active in homelessness for decades. I was working with Andrew and Maria Cuomo in the 80s, and then I sort of took a sabbatical when I got married and had children. I said, kind of, don't call me, I'll call you. This film has gotten me back involved. We've been working on it for the last couple of years, actually. We went to 20 cities, in 18 states, interviewed federal, state, local, corporate, nonprofit, faith-based interviews. We had 250, 300 interviews, which spun off. We were just hoping to be honest and true and accurate on screen. We wound up spinning off a documentary. The scripted feature is called No Address. The streaming documentary is called Americans with No Address. Very, very good, very informative.
We'll keep an eye out for both. Homelessness, as you know, Billy, most people think it can't happen to them, but we're seeing the number grow, especially with COVID, now with the California wildfires. It's one disaster after another. When you see this in these encampments, what are your thoughts when you see these homeless people who are probably middle class, lower middle class at one time?
You know, there's a lot of things that come to mind. First of all, COVID contributed. The fentanyl crisis is a huge, huge factor. Housing costs is a huge factor. This film clearly demonstrates the various paths to homelessness. One person is a PTSD vet. Another person has an addiction problem. Another person is having a mental health crisis. Another person is a victim of domestic violence. Another person ages out of foster care and doesn't have the tools at 18 years old to survive on the street by themselves. And when that foster family is not getting the check anymore, their bags are packed and they're left on the front, you know, on the front porch. So it's taught me, and my character, married, kids, working, paycheck every Friday, and you know, we are all very close to one firing or one massive medical bill away from being evicted. You're living with a friend, you're living in your station wagon, you're living in an alleyway. I've had two major health events that have happened, one with a child and one with myself, and I have SAG, I have Rolls-Royce insurance. And after that, I was left with a bill that 98% of Americans couldn't absorb, they couldn't handle. It would throw them into bankruptcy. And possibly eviction. If they're choosing between rent and paying their medical bills and feeding their kids, they're going to pay their rent and they're going to feed their children. You know, they're not going to pay their medical bills. They're going to have problems.
Because most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. I am curious, when people see this movie, what do you hope they walk away with?
There's several things that I hope they walk away with. Of course, homelessness can happen to anyone. This should be framed more as, not as a homelessness crisis, but as a mental health crisis. The other misconception is, they created this situation. I get it, a victim of domestic violence. I get someone's mentally ill. What about the people doing the drugs? Well, guess what? 90% of the people doing drugs don't have access to a doctor or health care. They can't see an internist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. They can't get treated for depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolarity, PTSD. They're not getting medications like you and I can get because we have health care coverage. So they're self-medicating on the street with alcohol and with fentanyl. That's also part of the mental health crisis.
It's one thing to watch this movie, to talk about this story. What can we do to help?
Well, you know, we would love for you to, there's several things. One is to engage at the local level. There's going to be state and local programs in your community. There's definitely going to be nonprofits in your community. There definitely is faith organizations, your synagogue, your temple, your church. You can plug into the programs that they have there for homelessness. If you don't have the bandwidth because of childcare or transportation or whatever, $5 check, $10 check, $25 check. Of course, if you go see this movie, noaddressmovie.com, you buy tickets for you and a friend, and then you tell all of your friends 50% of the net proceeds are going to nonprofits serving
50%?
50% of the net proceeds are going to nonprofits serving the homeless.
All right, Billy Baldwin, thank you so much. And No Address in theaters nationwide right now. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.